Well, here's an interesting little nugget from researchers at the University of Missouri. They have found that teacher ratings of parental involvement early in a child's academic career can accurately predict the child's academic and social success. And so, in essence, we're talking about the value and the quality and the type of relationship that your child has with their teacher. And so, as we take on round two here of our parent panel, let's talk about, in your minds, the importance of having a really good working relationship with your child and their educators. Now, on the surface, it seems like it's a necessity, but is that fair?
I think that to a certain extent. I mean, I've seen there's so much of a range in terms of parental involvement that sometimes the extreme of being way too ultra involved is quite off-putting to teachers. They need to be able to do their own job. And then similarly, someone who's very distant and doesn't appear involved at all in their kids' academics is also going to be kind of dismissed as well. It does really matter, I think, what parents think of, or what teachers think of the parents, and all of that. I think that it's also a reflection of, you know, how a kid relates to their parent is how they're going to relate to their teacher as well. And so they're going to enact the same pattern that they have with their parents, with their teachers. So typically, if you have a good, positive, secure relationship with your parents, you can put faith into an educational professional that they're going to help you, you can be safe with them, you're going to be with them all day. And that's what really matters. I think that most often it's a replication of what's happening at home is what's happening at school.
So, so don't take your teacher out for beers, is what you're saying.
Well, it depends on what they look like. Okay.
And yeah, but further to that, though, and I think the study kind of goes into more of this direction, is that correlation. Because if that parent is active with the teacher and really engaged in the school, that's probably a reflection of them being engaged at home in their education, in knowing, understanding what the homework is and working with them. So I think actually it just shows that they're engaged overall in the child's education, not necessarily even the relationship with the teacher, but just overall, which of course will lead to better outcomes for the most part for children, right? So I think it's more reflective of that engagement that's happening overall in the child's education, not necessarily with the teacher. But if there is a negative relationship, and you know, people are people, we're not all going to get along with each other. But at the end of the day, if our focus is truly on the best interest of that child, those things shouldn't matter as much. Sometimes they do. And sometimes when there is that negative interaction, is it just an underlying bias that is unconscious does that impact marks and grading and interaction?
Well, and that's
the question.
The interesting angle, right? Is that if your teacher, the teacher in question, has perhaps an issue with you, right? What's your approach as a parent at that point? Do you engage, or do you find perhaps some sort of more of a passive approach to rectifying that situation?
Well, I think you would have to engage. You got to be assertive. You got to show your children also what to do when there's difficult interactions that you're having with people. This is how you handle it. I'm going to be assertive. I'm going to let this teacher know what's going on for me. I'm going to listen to what they're saying as well, and I'm going to be respectful the entire time. And it really does matter. I think that's pretty fair to say that teachers' grading is not completely objective. You know, I'm sorry to all of the teachers, right? But I remember, you know, as a kid, my teachers gave me the benefit of the doubt because they liked me. I remember if I got a question wrong on like a chemistry test, the teacher would check the answer book to make sure that the answer book wasn't the thing that screwed up there. And they would consistently give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's just human nature. If you have a positive relationship with the parents, you're also going to give the kid the benefit of the doubt.
And that's interesting, actually, because growing up in school, I remember my sister she was older and didn't have necessarily the easiest time in school. And so that was projected onto me and that expectation. And I did work harder, and I was listening, but I think I was a reflection of other members of my family who'd gone before me that kind of set me up to have to work harder because they had set a bit of a tough road.
I like that.
For me.
Well, it's kind of a snowball sort of coming down.
Yeah, I was the last one coming through, and it's like, oh man, they didn't really set up a great road.
All right, well, there you go. That's it for this week's edition of the Parent Panel. Thank you so much for coming in. As I say, as a non-parent, this is very insightful for me in terms of my future decisions. We're going to take a little bit of a break right now. Don't go too far. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. We'll be checking in with Bridget Ryan, who's down at the John Jansen Nature Center.